So good morning, guys. Today I will be reviewing about inequalities for your preparation for the next worksheet. Okay. So the first thing that I will show you is the interval notation. So remember that when you answer inequality questions, most of the time you need to write down your final answer in this form. Okay. So we're gonna talk about this first. Okay. So here we have this notation here. So how do we read it? It's like this. Yeah. So if we have like a curly bracket over here, and then say it's x, yeah, it means that in this set, yeah, it means that you're just talking about x. Yeah. So here we have x. This guy here, the line, we read it as such that. Okay, SUCHTATHAT. Yeah, such that x such that -2 is less than equal to x, and then x is less than 3. Can you see that in this concept is that the x values can be anything between -2 and 3, but you see that the 2 is included because it said here is less than equal to -2. It means that -2 also included, or we call it the inclusive. But here x is less than 3, it means that 3 is not included. So when you want to draw the number graph, yeah, the number line graphs to show this, it's like just a line like this. And you see we have that -2 here, and then 3. So -2 is on the left side, and on the 3 on the right side. So here at the 2 you need to shade this, yeah, because 2 is included into the x, yeah. So you can have x equals to -2, but for this one here, the 3, you cannot have it. Yeah, x can be anything like less than 3, but you cannot have it. For example, like 2.99, 2.98, or 2.7, but 3 you can't. Yeah, so here the circle, you don't shade it, and you see that the arrow here, right? So the arrow, like the x is between these two numbers. Like, so here the x is greater than 2, so it's on the right side of the x, on the right side of the 2, right? Goes that way. But this one here is said that x is less than 3, so from 3 you go to the left side. You see that the area that represent x is here. Yeah, so x can be any number between these two numbers, -2 and 3, but you can have -2, but you cannot have 3. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, and then the second one here, this is question A. This is B. So the same thing like before, I have x is such that x is less than 2, or x is greater than 7. So it means that the number, or the x value, can be any number that less than 2, but you cannot have 2. Yeah, so it's like 1, maybe 1.5, 1.9, but you cannot have 2. Or it said that x is greater than equal 7. It means that it can be 7 or more than that. Yeah, so for example, here we have 7, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 8, 9, 100 in number 1. Yeah, as long as like it's greater than or equal to 7. So the interval notation, the draw, what do you call it, the line graph will be like this. I have another line number. Here we have the first one is x less than 2. So you start from 2, but now you don't shade it because it's that it's just less than 2. It means that 2 is not included, and you go to the left. Yeah, see here, the x goes to the left, so it means that the x is any number less than 2. Yeah, it can be 1, it can be 0, it can be negative, it can be any number. And then as said that the next one is 7, it means that you put 7 over here, but you shade it because here we have a greater than equal to sign, so it means that you shade this up here, right? And then you go to the right because it said that it's greater, the x is greater than 2, greater than 7. It means that you can shade the area. The area is over here and over here. Yeah, so we have two areas, left and right. Okay, so the same thing with C. For example, here we have 3 numbers here, 0, 1, and 4. So it's actually just the combination between this and this, right? See, so when you have these like 3 numbers like this, you just make sure that everything is on the number line, right? Like this, right? So we have 0 is over here, we have 1 over here, and 4 is over here. Yeah. Okay, then the second thing that you need to see is that whether you have an equal sign. I mean, like less than or greater equal sign. See, the one that has equal sign is this one here. This one doesn't have. This one also doesn't have. See the line here. This what makes it different. Yeah, like this and that. Yeah, this sign here. This means that it's equal. Yeah, less than equal. So it means that the one that we only shade is the 1. Yeah, the 4 and the 0 you can't, because it cannot be 0. So here we have x is greater less than 0. It's the same thing with we put that x less than 2, so it goes to the left side. And it said that x is between, yeah, you can see that x is between 1 and 4, so it's like in the middle here, yeah. And then you see that the graph looks like this. Okay, so again, later on you will answer questions in terms of inequality. Your final answer should be like this, yeah. Okay. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to discuss is the rule for solving linear inequalities. So when you solve an inequalities, it's almost the same with solving an algebraic equation, but there's a slight difference here. Now, for example, I'm just gonna give you some numbers, okay? So if I say 12 is greater than 6, right? 12 is greater than 6, right? Now, if you remember that when we solve algebraic equation, right, you need to like do the same thing on both sides, right? Either to add them or to subtract or multiply or divide or anything, yeah, as long as you're doing the same thing on the left and the right side, yeah. Now for example, if I add 1 on the left side and the right side, right, I'm doing the same thing on the both sides, they'll be like 13, and then we have 7, and you see that 13 is greater than 7, right? It's and the sign here doesn't change, yeah, it's just like that, yeah. So what if I subtract with another number? For example, I subtract with 1. So say I've subtract this by 1, you'll get this equals to 11, and this is 5. And you see that 11 is greater than 5, and it is true, right? If I multiply this by, let's say I multiply this by a positive number, let's say it's 2, yeah? If I multiply this with 2, 12 becomes 24, and 6 becomes 12. And you see that 24 is greater than 12, and it's okay, right? But there's something that is different when we are multiplying this with negative number. For example, if I multiply this by negative 2, for example, see what happened? If I multiply this with negative 2, we get negative 24, but this one here is negative 12, and this is an incorrect statement, right? So the negative 24 should be smaller than negative 12, right? So in here, one of the most one of the things that you really need to pay attention is when you multiply or divide with a negative number. If you multiply or divide with a negative number, you see that the sign is going to change. It's going to reverse. Yeah. So this is one of the most important thing when you're dealing with inequality. So in general, I can say that interchanging now the method of solving linear equation is thus identical that of linear equation, with the exception that interchanging the side to reverse the inequality sign. For example, if I change it, if I want to move the 6 to the left side and the right side, see that it's like this, right? The sign will be changing, right? Or if you multiply or divide by negative numbers, it reverses the inequality sign. So I'm gonna give you one example. If I say x is greater than 6, if I want to move the 6 to the left and x to the right, the 6 and x, this sign changes. So it means that interchanging the side reverses an inequality sign. The second one, if you multiply, for example, if I have a negative x is greater than 6, see that if you have a negative, so when you have an inequality or an equation, right? So you want to remove that one, right? So what do? You actually need to multiply by negative 1 or divide by negative 1. See, if you multiply this by negative 1, you get x. This one is negative 6, but now this guy also needs to be multiplied by negative. It means that this change is reversed, yeah? So these are the two most like the basic thing and the most important thing when you need to pay attention with when you're dealing with inequalities, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna give you some example for this one here. Let's say solve for x and graph the solution. So here we have 3x minus 4 is less than 2. So again, we need to isolate the x, right? So what we need to do first, I'm gonna like remove that 4 by adding both sides with 4. So I get 3x less than equals to 2 plus 4. And see, we have 3x is less than equals 6. And then see, we have this 3. I wanna remove that 3 by dividing both sides by 3. Right, and that you will get that. That's it, right? Pretty simple. Now if you see that, if you want to draw the solution like this, right, so you start from 2 and then you shade it because it has equal sign over here, right, and then you go from 2 and then go to the left. Okay, that's it. Okay, pretty simple, right? Now question B is a little bit different because we have seen now here we have like a negative sign as the coefficient of the x. So I'm going to write that again here. So I'm going to remove the 3 first, yeah. So I'll get negative 2x, yeah, less than 7 minus 3, and remove the 3 by subtracting both sides by 3, right? So I have negative 2x is less than 7 minus 3 is 4. And now, when you see that, I'm getting rid of this negative 2 by dividing both sides by negative 2. So in the complete process should be like this, right? you need to divide this by -2, you need to divide this also with -2. But again, remember that when you multiply or divide with a negative number, the sign changes, right? So this one, you can cancel these two, you get x. This one is just -2, but the sign changes direction like that. Yeah, so when you want to draw the line graph, right? So it comes from -2, then you don't shade it, and then you go to the right. Okay. Okay, so these are a couple of questions that you can try at home. You can pause the video. I will give you the answer in 10 seconds. Okay, so here are the answers. Let's see and check if you have the correct answer or not. Okay, you can pause the video first before going to the next discussion. Because we have the chapter of algebra and quadratic, so for this section of learning, we will have nonlinear inequalities, especially we're going to talk about quadratic. Okay, so just remember that when you have a quadratic equation, most of the time you will need to write it down in ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, right? So this time you're not going to deal with equal sign, but you're dealing with like a greater than or less than equals, like this one here. It's not like that. It's going to be like this maybe, or like this, or like this, or like this. Okay, so basically the first thing that you need to do is to write down everything on the left side or right side of this inequality sign, and then the other side should be equals or less than, greater than, less than, equals than, or greater than, equals to 0, right? So in that way we can find the solution, because sometimes, most of the time in quadratic, you will have like two solutions, right? And you'll have x1 and x2. Yeah, so I'm gonna show you what I mean. Okay, so here we have a inequality, but now we're dealing with quadratic here, right? See, quadratic. Now most of the time, if you see that we have like this, if this is an equal sign, you probably say, oh, this moves to the left side, or like subtract both sides by 14 to get 0 on the other side, right? So we're gonna do that. So we have x squared plus 5x, and then this guy here, we are going to subtract that by 14 on both sides. Yeah, minus 14 over here, minus 14 over here. That'll be minus 14 and less than 0. Now the rest here, that is as absolutely the same thing like what you do always do in solving a quadratic equation. You can use a factoring method, you can use the completing the square, or you can use the quadratic formula. So for this one, this is pretty easy because we can actually factorize. See, we have 14 here, like the sum and product theory, which is if two numbers, you think of two numbers, if you multiply you get -14, if you add you get +5, and the answer is x plus 7 and then x minus 2. Okay, so here now we have x1, which is equals to -7, right? And this is x2, which is equals to 2, right? But this one is this is not an equation. This is an unequal sign. So we need to change these two, right? So we don't know. So there are two methods on how to do this. The first one is the long way. The long way is that you draw the number line. Yeah, this is actually the same thing. I mean, like, the number line stays there. Because see that -7 and 2. So the first thing you do is to put the -7 and 2 in the correct position. For example, if I put the 2 over here, like this, so the -7 should be on the left side, because we know that -7 is less than 2, right? So don't be mistaken when you put the numbers. And see that I'm not shading the circle here. I'm not shading that because in here we have equal, less than. It's not less than, equal to. Yeah. Okay. So that's the second one. The next thing that we need to do is like to find out which part of them is positive or negative, because it said here is less than 0. See, so you only need, there are only two probability, four possibilities actually. It's either less than 0 or greater than 0, right? If I say less than 0, a number, the whole thing here is less than 0, it means that it's a negative number, right? If I say, if this is like a greater number, greater than 0, it means that this number is going to be positive. So what we're going to investigate is where is the area in which all of the things here, if I put a number on the x, you will get a negative number because it's that is less than 0, right? So let's, for example, if I check a number, let's say, I'm just gonna pick a random number, like, but don't use -7 2, because if you put -7 and 2, you'll get 0, exactly 0. Okay, so I'm gonna go and check 0, for example. We know that 0 is between -7 and 2, right? So you can put this 0 into the x over here, or over here. It's up to you which one. Yeah. So I'm gonna use this one, the second one here, because that's easier. So I'll get 0 plus 7 and then 0 minus 2, and you see that this is like 7 and then minus 2, and if you multiply that you get negative 14, right? See that we have negative sign. It means that in here we have a negative number. I mean, like, we have a negative result. So whatever number you put, yeah, whatever number between the negative 7 and 2, right, you'll always get a negative number. For example, like 1, maybe a negative 1, negative 2. You can try it by yourself. Okay, if you put that in here, you'll always get a negative number. Yeah. Okay, so that's the first one. So we need to check the other two sides, over here and over here, right? So if you check it, for example, just pick a number, okay? Pick any number you want, but do not use the 2 and the negative 7. So for example, I'm going to use 3. 3 is over here, yeah? So the 3, I'm going to put it again here and here. And that'll be like 3 plus 7, and then 3 minus 2. And that'll be 3 plus minus 7 is 10. 3 plus 7 is 10. And 3 minus 1 is 1. So it's just 10 times 1, which is equals to 10. And see that 10 is positive number, so here we have a positive number. So whatever number you put into the x, which is like 3, 4, 5, 6, any number like 1000, you will always get a positive number. Okay. Now the second, the last one, the last part is you haven't checked on the left side, right? The left side is over here, right? So another, again, pick a number that is less than negative 7. Yeah, for example, negative 8. Yeah, I'm gonna put the negative 8, and then I'm gonna put it again here. Yeah, and that'll be negative 8 plus 7, and then this guy becomes negative 7. Sorry, negative 8, negative 2. See, negative 8 times negative 7 is just negative 1, and then this one is negative 10, and you see that we can have another positive number, right? So you see that we have like making parts of where do we have a positive and negative result. If I put like less than 7, that's negative 7, or greater than negative 7, or less than 2, or greater than 2. Okay, so here what we are going to see is the question, right? So the question states that you are the whole thing on the left side here should be less than 0. Well, yeah, a number that is less than 0, it means that it's negative. So the negative sign in this number line is over here, right? So this is going to be the area of your solution. Yeah, it's between that negative 7 and 2. Yeah, so it's going to be like here. Yeah, so when you answer the question, you have to write down like this. You can actually write down this like negative 7 less than x less than 2. You see that this is x, like it's between the negative 7 and 2, right? It's between both of them. Or it's actually, when you do it formally, you have to write down, okay, so bracket and x such that, and then that's it. Yeah, so you see that now if you put any numbers between negative 7 and 2, you always get a negative number, and you know that this is going to be the solution, because in this inequality you're looking for a negative number, yeah, because it's less than 0. Okay, now I'm going to show you the shortest way on how to solve this inequality in terms of quadratic. Now we have to learn that in quadratic equation, in a quadratic function, the graph of quadratic should always be a parabola, right? So for example, if I have an x and y axis like this, right? So if I have if I have y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c, now the graph should be like this or like this, right? So there are only like two shapes, like either like parabolic going up and parabolic going down. So the one that makes it's like this, yeah, it's the a, and this, the position, I mean like the direction is this a over here. So if the a is a positive number, right, so we'll get this one over here, so I call it the smiley face, right? And if I have a is negative, it means that this graph will be like a front face, like a front like this. Front is like this, yeah. Smiley is like this. Now see, in this quadratic that we have just done previously, you see that the a here is 1, right? See here, the coefficient of x squared is 1. So it means that the graph will be like this, right? It's a smiley face. So you can actually draw it in the graph here. Now these two are like the zeros, yeah, or the x-intercept. Yeah, so you can actually draw it like this, for example, like that, right? So the parabolic, see, if you see that this is like the x-axis, right? So if you see the graph is under the x-axis, it means that it will be negative, right? So the y will be negative. So if I say like this is y, right, this is a positive sign and it's a negative sign, right? So what you need to see is that if it's under the x-axis, it's going to be negative, Yeah, so negative will be here because here this graph is below the x-axis, right? And you see that from here to here is positive because it's above the x-axis, so this is going to be positive. And see, this one over here is also positive. And there you go. See, now this one is a lot more easier to be applied rather than this one, because this one here you need to like check it one by one. Okay, so see, we have the same thing, plus minus plus here, plus minus plus. So it means that because in this question you're being told to find a negative number which is less than 0, so the answer is this, and you'll get the same exact answer. So later on, maybe in the worksheet, so you can actually just like draw this graph like this, yeah, and then to see so that I can see whether you understand the concept or not of or finding the area of the solution. Yeah, so the solution is say to save like this. Okay. Now let's try question B. Okay, question B, this one over here. Now I'm gonna rewrite that and then make one side is every single term and then the other side is just 0. So it means that I only need to add both sides by 4x. So I'm gonna write down as x squared plus this one becomes positive 4x, right? And then this one is just 4, and then we set that greater than equals to 0. Okay, now we can see the same thing before, right? So we see that this one here can be factorized pretty easily, right? It's just x plus 2 times x plus 2. Yeah, x plus 2. Now x plus 2 is greater than equals 0. And see that the x is only 1, yeah? You have only one solution, or 2 equal solution, which x equals to negative 2, right? So again, we're not looking for equal sign. We're looking for like less than or greater than 2, negative 2, or 2, negative 2, yeah. So to do the same thing, we're going to do the fast way. We're going to just draw the number line and then just put that negative 2, right? And see that we have like that. It means that you're shading the negative 2. It means that negative 3 is also included. Now the question is, should I go right, should I go left, or should I go both ways, or maybe no way, right? So we don't know that. But the thing that you need to see here is that previously we have this example where you need just to see the a, right? From here, the a, this guy here, the coefficient of x squared, which is positive here. You can see that this one is a positive number. It means that the graph should be looking like this, right? See? So now you see that everything, the red graph here, right? Everything is above the x-axis, right? So this is the x-axis. Everything above the x-axis. It means that every single number that you put into the x here will always get a positive number, right? Unless for negative 2. Negative 2, you get 0. But in here, because it's greater than equal to 0, it means that you can include the 0. Yeah, so the solution for this is x, such that x is the all real number. Or you can actually write it like this if you want. Yeah, x such that, sorry, this is such that x is less than equals to negative 2, and then x is greater than equals to negative 2, and that's okay, that's fine. Yeah, so you can actually write it like this or like this. You see that why do I have like these two? Because it goes left and it also goes right, right? And then it's also included by 0. I mean, like the 0 can also be included. So like this is like the final answer for this. Yeah, so I suggest that you actually just need to just write down like this if you want, but it's fine if you write it down like this. This is also okay. Okay. So we have a bunch of questions here, and I would recommend that you try like some of them. Maybe if you can do everything, you can do everything. But I'm just gonna go and give you one more example. I'm gonna choose one question, which is this I over here, and you see that we have x squared plus 4x minus 5 is greater than 0. So here we have greater than 0. It means that we're looking for a positive number. Yeah, here the whole number here, the result over here should be a positive number because it should be greater than 0. Now we can do the same thing like before, right? So this question here we can actually factorize pretty easy. You see that this is going to be x plus 5 and then x minus 1, right, greater than 0. And here we have x1 equals to negative 5, and x2 we get equals to 1. And then if we go and draw the line graph like this, right? So you see that negative 5 is on the left side, and then the 1 is on the right side. See, we don't shade the circle. We don't shade that because it's at greater than. It's just greater than. It's not greater than equal sign. And you see that you don't need to put like test the numbers, but you can just like draw the graph itself, right? See that the graph here, the x squared, the coefficient of x squared is a positive number. It means that the graph will be a positive, will be a smiley face, right? So smiley face would be like this, right? Can you see that the one on the between this -5 and 1 should be negative because it's under the x-axis. This is the x-axis, is under that, right? So because it's under, it means that here we have a negative sign, right? So everything that's between -5 and 1, if you put the numbers into the x, you will get a negative result. Okay, so on the left side here, we see that this side, this graph here is above this line here. It means that this is positive, and also this one here is also positive. It means that, yeah, they are going to be positive number. I mean, if you put, for example, -6 into the x, you'll get a positive number. Yeah, so you can actually try it. Like -6 plus -6 plus 5, and then here -6 -1, and you see that this is -1 and this is -7, and if you multiply that, you get a positive number, right? See, positive number. Yeah. Okay, but you don't really need to like test them up because you already know how to do this easy part here. And then the last thing you need to see is that the questions that tells you to find a positive number, because it said that it's greater than 0. So the positive number should be on the left side of the -5 and on the right side of the 1. So it means that the final answer for this one is because the variable is x, yeah, so we can write down x such that the first one is this one here, this part, which is like, you see that this positive goes from -5, so it goes to the left, so it's x less than -5. See, I'm not shading that. It's not like this because you know that this is just less than or equals 10. It doesn't have any equal sign like this. And then, or you can go to the right from 1. See that this area here is on the right side of 1, right? So it means that you can go, oh, from x, it goes to the right side of 1, just greater than 1. Okay, so here we go. So these are all the topics that I'm going to share about the inequality. So again, I would like you to please try all of these questions if you can, yeah, to do a lot of practice. And good luck for the next worksheet. Okay.